Good morning, friends. Happy Friday Eve. One step closer to the weekend. Look what I'm working on today. Can you tell what it is? The Good Crochet Fairy came along and made this little hat so that we could use it later for our live. But do not worry. I'm going to start a new hat from the beginning. This is one I already have in the works, and we can finish this one so we can see how to close. But we're going to start from the very beginning on a little chunky beanie. The yarn that I'm using this morning is in the colorway Seashell, and it's this beautiful pink and green. It's Bernat Symphony. This is a bulky weight yarn. This is a 5 bulky, okay, and it calls for a 6.5 millimeter hook, a size K, a grande hook. Anyhow, good morning, everybody. Gen X, good morning. Angie, good morning. MJ, nice to have you here. Uh, Paloma said, April, there are chickens in the bird feeders today. Yes, Stud Muffin is in the bird feeder right now. And that little girl next to him, that's Scruffy. We call her Scruffy because bless her little heart. Eartha, good morning. Welcome in. We're going to have some yarn barf to deal with y'all this morning. So bear with me here. I'm trying to find the center. Mary, good morning. No problem. My pleasure. Heather, good morning. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the follow. Yeah, the chickens are out there. Alicia, good morning. Angie, good morning. JT is here. Pam, good morning. Welcome in, friends. Oh, goodness me. Oh, my. What a mess we have here on our hands. Okay. I think we're making progress here. We're going to make a beanie today, guys. Kay, good morning. How are you? Heather, thank you so much for the heart me becoming the 141st member of the fan club. Alicia, thank you so much for the wink, wink. Winkety, wink, wink, wink. All right. I found my end. Are we ready? Are we ready to get this party started? Here we go. Everybody stretched out? Christy, good morning. Welcome in. We're going to leave ourselves a long tail. All right. Grande tail. We want to have this for when we go to close in at the top of our hat. There's nothing fancy about this beanie, y'all. This is kind of my go-to beanie. If I need an in-between project, I make a lot of these for donation. So we're going to talk through how to get this started and how I go about mathing this all out. So I'm using a 6.5 millimeter. This is a 5 bulky. I'm using the same hook that the yarn recommends. We're going to start with a slip knot on our hook. Da 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 da, slip knot. And now I'm going to start chaining. And immediately you're going to ask, well, Wheeler, how many do you chain? And I'm going to say, well, I don't know how many I'm going to chain. What I like to do with my beanies is I like to make them about 9 inches from the tippy top of the beanie to the brim. Okay, so about 9 inches. Then I make a decision when I'm first starting out, do I want this hat to have a brim that's going to fold up? And if I say, yes, I want to have a brim, then what we do is we add a couple more inches to make it 11 inches. So let me get my tape measure here. Sorry, I've got a lot of junk over here on my table. Goodness me, I can't even get to my tape measure. Okay, so once again, I do not know how many chains I do, but what I do is I get my little tape measure out and I start with my starting chain and I measure. So right now I'm about 9.5 inches. Now I've got a little stretch on that. Okay. So if I didn't want to do a brim, I would stop right here and I would begin working on my hat rows. Okay. If I don't, if I do want a brim, then I'm going to chain a little more. I need to get a couple more inches on there to make it so that we have a 2-inch brim to fold up on our hat. Okay, so just do a few more chains. Again, the count does not matter. What matters is how big you want your beanie. So we're looking for 11 inches. Does that make sense to everybody? So here we go. There is my chain, and we're about at 11 inches. I've got a couple extra on there. That's if I really stretch it out, but I try not to stretch it out. When I'm measuring, I try to keep it very loose and relaxed. Okay, so if I measure loose and relaxed, loosey-goosey, we have 11 inches. Okay, so I'm good. I'm going to have my beanie eventually is going to be 9 inches tall. So after you get to your 11 inches that you want for your beanie, I'm going to put an extra stitch here just so I can have a little turning chain. Okay. I'm going to work with my second chain from my hook, and we're going to do a half double crochet. Take two. That's right, Mom. Now, as I'm working these stitches, as I work my hat, we're going to work it so that we have half double crochets. And then at the very top where our crown of our hat is, we want to do single crochets. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to get this to taper down so that it is a little smaller here at the top. And so it starts to kind of curve in for when we go to close this up. Okay. So as I'm looking at my chain that I just made, this is where our tail was. I want to make sure that the tail is at the top of our hat, the crown of our hat. That way we can use that to weave in and close up the center of our hat. So what that means is down here at the bottom where we are, we're going to start with our half doubles. So I'm going to go from the second chain on my hook, and I'm going to go into the second one, and we're going to do a half double crochet. And I'm going to work in the back bumps of this chain all the way up. Now, you don't have to work in the back bumps. When we look at a chain, one side you have a little V stitch, the top of our chain. If you rotate that to the other side, you can see right here, these little bumps, that's what we call the back bump, okay? So I'm going to work half doubles all the way up this chain for our first round, okay? And as I get towards the tippy top of our beanie, what we're going to do is we're going to taper that down, and we're going to do some single crochets at the top. Paloma, half hooked, thank you so much for the heart me's. Mello, good morning, welcome in. Kristen, welcome back. Obsessed, I had to restart, so we're starting all over from scratch. Sorry about that, friends. Anyhow, nice to have you all here. This morning we're working on a chunky beanie. Okay, we're working on a chunky beanie, and this yarn that I'm using is Bernat Symphony in the color Seashell. This is a 5 bulky weight yarn, and we're using a K10.5, which is a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. We're going grande this morning, going grande. Okay, so you can see how our little half doubles are working up for this beanie. Very, very easy stitch to do. Yes, Susie, or excuse me, Paloma, the yarn is very soft. It is, I think it's an acrylic blend, 80% acrylic, 20% wool, but it's definitely a thicker yarn. So it makes it so that the beanies work up a little quicker when you're using a bulky weight like this. It is very squishy. That's a great way to describe it there. So I'm working in the back bumps, guys, and we're doing half double crochets all the way up. Hey, Karen, good morning. Welcome in. Vicky, good morning. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Mama Bird, thank you so much for the heart me. I appreciate that. Hope everybody's having a great Thursday. With Glee, good morning. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the follow. Allie's here. Hey, Allie, good morning. Y'all, if you are new to the channel, my name is April, and I am a hobby crocheter. We are live this morning, both on TikTok and over on YT. You can go back and rewatch a replay of this later on today if you have to hop off to go to work or get the kids to school, whatever the things are, you know. Let's see. I'm making a round ripple and continuous granny square blankets. Nice, Holly. Nice. Clarice, good morning. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the follow. Okay, so keep in mind as we get up here closer to the top of our hat, we want this to be the top where our tail was. We'll use this strand to close the top of our hat. Once we get to the last 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to do those as single crochets. So until then, we're going to keep working these half doubles up our little chain. Once we get our first round done here, we'll have a little more to hang on to. So this will be a little nicer once we get a little thicker. Working into the chain is always fun, right? Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to switch now from our half doubles, and we're going to go down to a single crochet into that back bump. And the reason we're going down to a single crochet is we want this to taper in and become a little tighter here at the top. Okay. That way it'll make it easier when we go to close the top of our beanie. It won't be so bulky. Hey, Jules, good morning. Let's see. Here we go. That is our last single crochet here. All right. So now we're ready to start working into our next round. I'm going to chain one. This chain of one does not count as a stitch. I'm going to turn my work. And once again, remember we had our 5 singles. See our 5 singles right here, how they're a little more narrow? That'll become more and more evident as we keep working along. Into the first stitch, I'm going to work under both the front and back loop, always for my first stitch with my single crochet. Now, as I work the next stitches all the way down, we're going to work just into the front loop. So when you look at your crochet stitches, it looks like a sideways V. You see that little V there? This stitch that is facing me, the one that is closest to me, is called the front loop. The one that is away from me here is called the back loop. What we're going to do is we're going to leave behind the back loop and work only into this row that is closest to us. And I know some of you are sitting there thinking, well, why do you want to do that? And the reason why is because as we look at our beanie, what we want to do is we want to add some lines of texture. And so the way that we do that is by working into either the front or back loop, and it gives us these delightful little lines that come through. So this line right here is where we had our back loop that we did not work into, and it shows through. You can see them here. In between those is the third loop that is left behind from our half double. So we're going to alternate how we do these and get these really cool lines of texture for our beanie. This is what the inside of the beanie looks like. So it could be reversible. The inside is just as pretty. But I like to do these where they have the fun little texture lines. Okay. So that's what we're trying to accomplish right now. So after we do our first stitch, that was number 1 single crochet. Number 2, we're going to work just in that front loop, ignoring the back loop, and work a single crochet. We need a total of 4 of these. So again, front loop, single, front loop, single, and front loop, single. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very important, guys. If you are new to making hats or crocheting, what I highly recommend is taking your hook marker or your stitch marker and putting it right here in the very first stitch. Okay. This way, when you come back the other direction, you're going to remember where you started and where you ended. We should have done the same thing down here at the bottom. So when I do my very last stitch right here, we need to put in a stitch marker. Again, that will tell us where we are ending, okay? Because what happens inevitably, especially if you're new to crochet, this right here was my turning chain. This is the very last stitch. So while it's still on your hook, make sure you're marking those. The biggest challenge that we have as crocheters is we forget where we stop and end. And then what happens is we get our work lopsided. So use your stitch markers for both blankets and like hats like this. It's very helpful. Okay, so after we do our 5 single crochets, again, I can always remember where the top of my hat is because I have my tail. That's the indicator, okay? So here we go. Rest of the way down, again, working into just the front loop, okay? So this is the back loop here. This one right here that's facing me is the front loop. We're going to work our half double crochets the rest of the way down. So yarn over, go under that front loop, pull up a loop, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. We're going to work that down all the way until we get to that very last stitch where we put the stitch marker to remind us, and then we'll be ready to turn and go back the other direction. So I know a lot of you are sitting there wondering, well, what's going on the other side of your project because you're working in that front loop? Here we go. This right here, do you see that little line of texture that has formed? That is the back loop that we are leaving behind. So again, here's the top of our beanie. See how this squishes down and is a little more tapered? That's going to help us when we go to close up our hat. And then there's that fabulous back loop line of texture we're making. Okay, so again, half double all the way down until we get to that very first little stitch, where the stitch marker is. Okay, so again, half doubles, very easy stitch, one of my favorite stitches. Let me get some more yarn out here. We're working with a brand new skein this morning. We're kind of tight there in the center. Okay, here we go. Half doubles. Oops, get back on there. I'll tell you all, my stomach is growling. If you all can hear my stomach growling, I apologize. Here we go. Yarn over into that first loop, the front loop, all the way down. So my stomach is rumbling this morning because Mr. Wheeler, before he went to work this morning, he made up some cinnamon raisin toast. And he got the house smelling so good. I've been sitting here crocheting. I've been working on a new ripple blanket that I have in the works. But man, he made me really hungry. Then I was talking to my friend Leah, Leaping Llamas. She's over there making, was it pancakes this morning? Man, I'm going to have to get off this live and go get some breakfast as soon as I'm done, right? Okay, so here we are. This is our last stitch where we had our stitch marker. Second to last stitch, I still go in that front loop only. Now, when I get to the last stitch, I still am doing a half double. I'm going to go under the front and back loops. You do not have to go under both loops, but what I have found with these hats is this makes it a little more stable and secure at the brim of our hat to work under both loops. So once again, half double, and then I'm going to chain one and I'm going to turn my work again. Let's take out our stitch marker. We're going to remove this and then put it in the new very first stitch. So this chain of one does not count as a stitch. So I'm going to turn my work and now we're going to start working up the other direction. Does anybody see anything in my work right there? What happened right there? What is that about? Do you see how that stitch looks wonky right there with that big loop? Clearly, as I was talking, something happened with that stitch. It should not look like that. This is the front side of our hat where we have this texture. So you guys know what's next. Frogs in the chat. We're going to frog this out. I cannot let that slide. My OCD says, oh no, 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 no. So frog it out. Let's go back and redo those. I probably missed a stitch or something as I was doing it. And my stitch maybe got twisted. I don't know, something, right? So we need to frog that out and try again. Let me refresh this. I don't think this is working. Okay, there we go. Looks like you snagged it. I know, I did something to it, right? Anyhow, when you find little flaws like that, guys, if you can, hey Rachel, good morning. If you have the time, make sure that you go back and frog it. You want it to look nice, right? Okay, so here we are. Back to my very first stitch. Very first stitch, we're going to work that half double under both the front and back loop. All right? So take two. This yarn is Bernat Symphony and the colorway Seashell. It's the colorway Seashell. This is what it looks like. It's changing colors on its own. So eventually we're going to get more into pinks and greens, but that's what it looks like. We're making a hat this morning, y'all. Making a hat. Okay, so now we're ready to chain one. The chain one does not count as a stitch. We're going to turn our work and now we're going to start working back the other direction. Now you will notice, Rosalind, give me just 1 second. I will explain that. As we are looking at these stitches, these half doubles that we just made has this really cool line of texture when you do a half double. This is what we call the third loop. So what this is this is a loop of yarn that is here on the back of our stitches that is forming this line of texture. So as I work back up the other direction, we are going to leave this line of texture and allow it to be on the front of our hat as well. Okay. So as I look at these stitches, you have to almost rotate your work. And sometimes new friends, that are new to crochet will get this a little mixed up because sometimes this will be mistaken as the top of your stitch. See how it looks like that sideways V? Instead, you have to roll your work back. This right here is actually the top of our stitch. As we work the second round, we are going to work under both loops, the front and back loop, all the way up. So we're going to work the half double stitch all the way back up until we get right here to our last 5 stitches. And then once again, we're going to switch back to those single crochets to get the top of our hat to taper down. Okay, so let's get my hook back in here. This is our turning chain. Once again, turning chain does not count as a stitch. I'm going to put a half double in the very first stitch. And again, we're working under both loops all the way up. First, that's my first stitch out. Okay, so this is the top of the stitch right here. Right away, get your stitch marker, pop that in to identify your very first stitch. Now we're going to work half doubles all the way back up till we get to that tippy top. Okay. Somebody asked the question, when I frogged it, what does that mean? That might be a new term to you if you're new to crochet. So when we have to redo our work, what we do is we rip out the stitches. So it's literally means to rip out the stitches. And what sound does a frog make? A frog says ribbit, ribbit. And so over the years with crocheters, we think we're a clever little bunch. And when you rip it out, what does it sound like? Rip it, ribbit, ribbit, right? So we call that frogging it. So if you hear the term, somebody says frogging, frog it out, frogging it, that all means to rip out your work. Rip it, ribbit, ribbit. I know we are so clever, right, Vicky? All us crocheters and yarnies. Oh, we're so smart. Hey, Rachel. Good morning. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the follow. Hannah, good morning. Welcome in from France. How are you? Grace said, I love that it's linked to frogs. I know, right? We're a clever little bunch. And of course, me with my stickers, I'm like, let's make a frog sticker. Because clearly I'm an expert frogger. Tony Ann, good morning. Welcome in. I have to tell y'all too, our frogs here in Alabama have come out of hibernation. And the last couple days, they have been singing their little hearts out at night. And I'll tell you, it is the most welcome sound because you know what it sounds like? It sounds like spring. It sounds like spring. Okay, so here we go. We're working half doubles. Okay, we worked half doubles all the way up. We have one more half double to work. So, all we're going to do for our half double stitch, we're going to yarn over. We're going to work under both the front and back loop. You have to kind of turn your work here to the side. When you look at the top of your crochet stitches, it looks like a sideways V. This is kind of a variegated yarn, so it's a little harder to see these stitches, but you can kind of see how that shape is. This loop that is facing me is called the front loop. This loop right here that is away from us is called the back loop. As we are working these half double crochets, we're working under both the front and back loop. Okay, so very easy. Half double crochet, we yarn over, we go in under both loops, pull up a loop. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over. We want to pull this guy underneath all 3. Okay, so that is our half double. So this is how our beanie is looking so far. Again, you can see that really cool line of texture from our half double crochet. This is the line of texture when we worked in the front loop and left the back loop behind. And once again, as a reminder, as we're working on our beanie, towards the top here, we're making it so that it tapers in smaller so that we can use this to close in our hat and not have it so bulky at the top. So for the last 5 stitches, we had our hook stitch marker here. This was our last stitch. I'm going to count backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Into that 5th stitch, we're going to switch now from half doubles and we are going to do single crochets again under both loops. And we're going to do 5 of those as we taper down to the very tippy top of our hat. Now, very important, as you might get confused, remember we put our tail of our hat at the very top where the crown of our hat's going to be, because we're going to use that to tie it in. So if you ever get confused, like, wait, is this the brim or is this the top of my hat? Look for your little starting chain yarn, and that you'll find, oh yeah, that's the top of my hat. Carrie, good morning. Welcome in. Pat, good morning. Janek said, I don't want to play. I don't want to work today. I just want to play. I know, right? Let me pop out my little stitch marker here. Okay, this is our last stitch. Again, single crochet. Do you see how that is starting to taper down and get a little smaller? It's very subtle. There are some patterns, guys, that will use a slip stitch here. I have tried the slip stitch. However, what I find is I get myself a little confused. It's harder for me to identify the stitches when I do a slip stitch versus a single crochet. For me, the single crochet is easier to identify where the top of the stitch is and how many there are. Okay. So that's why I like to do a single crochet. Yes, and they're hard to work into. Rachel, very good point. They are very hard to work into. Okay, so we've done our last stitch. Here we go. We're going to chain one and we're going to turn our work. This chain one that I made does not count as our first stitch. Okay, so we're going to turn our work and now we're going to start working down this side again. So here's our chain. Again, does not count. Into the first stitch, we want to work under both the front and back loop. We're going to do a single crochet. Remember, the first 5 stitches are single crochets. Okay, once again, pop back in your stitch marker. Very important to identify this. That way, your counts will stay nice and even. Ashe, welcome in from Belgium. Nice to have you here this morning, or it might be afternoon where you're at. Okay, so that's our first stitch. We need 4 more single crochets. Now, as we are working this round and we're going from the top of our hat to the bottom, whenever we work this round, this is the back of our work. This is the front. Do you see how we made this really cool line of texture right here on our first round? We want to do that again, okay? And it's very, very easy to do. As we look at our crochet stitches, we have to kind of rotate our stitches forward so that they're facing us. We have what looks like a sideways V right here. Okay, sideways V. As we're working this, normally when we work crochet stitches, we work under both loops. This one that is facing me is called the front loop. It faces towards me. This one that is away from me is called the back loop. So for this hat, for our round where we're going from the top of the hat to the brim, what we want to do is we want to work just in the front loop only. So we're going to ignore all of these back loops and leave them on the surface of our hat as a line of texture. Okay. Whenever I do my first stitch, I always go under both loops at the top of the hat and here at the bottom of the hat. That makes it my hat a little more stable and secure. So here we go into our first stitch. We want to do a single crochet. So identify, this is my front loop. I'm going to put my hook under that front loop and make a single crochet. That's stitch number 2. We need a total of 5 of these single crochets. Here's number 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So once you have these 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as your single crochets, now what we want to do is we want to get larger with our stitches. We're still going to use the same technique where we're working just under the front loop, but instead of working a single, we're going to go back to working a half double. So once again, we're going to yarn over, come down under that first loop, pull up a loop. So we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over. We're going to pull this under all 3. This is a half double crochet. And we're going to work that down all the stitches until we get to that very first one where our stitch marker was. Okay. And again, you're probably asking yourself, well, why are we working in just one of the loops? And we're going to turn this in just a second as we get a few more stitches here so that we can see that line of texture that is forming. So here we go. Ready for magic? There she is. So when we leave behind that back loop, this line of texture right here that is left behind, That is from not working into the back loop. So we have very easy lines of texture forming on our beanie with very little effort. We have this that was the back loop from our first round. We have the third loop that is showing from our second round. And we have our back loop that is showing right here. Okay, so basically, every single round that we're doing has a line of texture. Rachel said, interesting. I've only seen it done with the back loop only. Yes, that is a very popular way to do it. I like to have a line of texture on every row. So, however you want to do it is totally fine. A lot of people work it just with the back loop only on all the rounds. So, you totally could do that as well. Again, here's the thing, guys, rebel it up. You are the crochet artist. There are no rules in crochet. If you want to work in the back loop for all the rounds, go for it. Go for it. It's going to work the same. It's gonna put a different style of texture on it, but at the end, you're still gonna have a very nice looking, handsome beanie, that is gonna be really fun for whoever you give it to or wear it for yourself. So, again, there's no like rules. That's why crochet is so much fun. There's so many different patterns and techniques and stitches. That's what we like to do a lot of here in the mornings. We do a lot of stitch talk. Okay. So, keep working all the way down until you get to your very last stitch. So we have 4 more stitches to go here. So again, half double, yarn over, under that front loop only, pull up a loop. We have 3 loops on our hook. Pull this guy through all 3. Yarn over, slide under that front loop only, pull up a loop. Again, we have 3 loops on our hook and yarn over, pull through all 3. Kate, good morning. Welcome in. Sherry, good morning. Welcome in. This is the colorway Seashell, and it is Bernat Symphony, and it's really pretty. We're going to get into more pinks and stuff as we work along. Okay, so here's our little stitch marker. I'm going to pop this out. Keep in mind as you're popping this out, hold on to that stitch so you know where it is and what you're working into. Okay, so it's right here. And I'm going to work under both the front and back loop of this last stitch just to make it a little more secure around the brim of our hat. Still doing a half double crochet. Okay, so there is how we're looking. Again, this is the inside of our hat. This side here is the outside with all the texture. So here we go. We're going to start our next round. Next round is very easy. We're going to chain 1. The chain of 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to turn our work, and now we're going to start working back up. We're at the base of our hat here. This is the top of our hat where the crown is. There's our tail. That's how it tells us. Whenever we're working from the brim of the hat up to the crown, we're going to work under both loops. And the reason why is because we have our third loop right here that's going to give us this line of texture. So we can do this with very little effort. So chain of 1 does not count. Again, first stitch out, I always work under both the front and back loop. We're going to do our half doubles again. Yarn over, under both the front and back loop, pull up a loop. So we have 3, yarn over, pull through all 3. We're going to be working under both the front and back the entire way up. Okay, so half double crochets all the way up once again till you get to the very tippy top of your beanie. Okay, so we're going to pop these in. Now remember, as we get towards the top of our hat, we tapered down and we used 5 single crochets to reduce some of the bulkiness of the top of our hat. So as we get to those 5 stitches, we're going to want to drop back down and go to a single crochet. And good morning, Rebecca. Welcome. Good morning, friends. Guys, if you are new to the channel, my name is April, and I am a hobby crocheter. I come live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings. I can't believe it's already Thursday, y'all. Friday Eve. Where has this week gone? It's been a busy week. It's been a really good week, but I'm feeling better and I'm glad to be back. So here we go, guys. As we're getting towards the top of our hat, remember this was our first stitch. Count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those 5 right there are single crochets. I still have 2 more half doubles to do. So we're going to pop in a half double, pop in a half double. Always remember to count backwards here. It makes it a lot easier as you're counting. So for the last 5 stitches before we get to the end here, we want to switch to a single crochet, still working under the front and back loop. There's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number we got a hair here. Hang on, let me get this out. This yarn has wool, but I don't think that looks like my hair. Yikes. Okay, so last stitch here as we are finishing up this row. So again, this is where we are tapering down and getting towards the top of our stitch or top of our hat. Okay, and you can see our really neat lines of texture that have formed. So here's the thing, guys. I'm going to pause here. We only have 24 minutes left of the live. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and switch to this other hat that the Good Crochet Fairy worked on this morning. And that way we can show how to finish the beanie while we're on the live. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to keep working those stitches back and forth just as we have been doing. So let's put this one to the side and let's pick up this little guy where I left off this morning. Okay, so like magic, here we are. We've crocheted a whole bunch of rows. I love when the Good Crochet Fairy comes to visit, right? You can see all of our lines of texture. You can really see how that top is tapering in now. See how it wants to just curve in and be the top of our hat there? Isn't that slick? Again, this is where all of those single crochets were. And so that's why it's tapering in. Okay, so here's where I left off. Again, this is the top of our hat. And I'm going to start finishing this round here where we left off. Okay. So as we're working towards the brim, once again, we're doing half double crochets. And I'm working under both loops for this round. We're basically just where we left off on the other one. So here's our second to last stitch. We have one more here to pop in. Okay. So as you're getting quite a number of rows stacking up for your beanie, what I like to do is I start to do my measurement at this point. Okay. So I fold my beanie in half as if I was sewing it closed to finish it. Okay. So as I fold it in half, then what I like to do is I like to get my tape measure at this point, and I like my adult beanies to be about 20 inches in circumference around the brim. So when you think about circumference, that means all the way around like the circle. Okay. When we fold it in half, half of that is, if I want it to be 20, I want it to be 10 if it's folded in half. So I get my tape measure out and I get a little measurement action on my hat. Okay. So here's 0. Over here, we're to 9. I need to get to 10 inches because that will make it 20 inches around. Okay. So I have a couple more rows to do here. So here we go. Let's work back up the next side. We're going to chain 1. Again, chain 1 does not count for a stitch. And now we're working from, this is the brim of our beanie. Here is the top up here where we had our single crochets. As we do this round, we're going to work under both the front and back loop with our half double. So chain does not count. Into the first stitch, half double. Work this all the way until we get back up to the very tippy top of our hat where we're going to reduce down to our single crochets. Okay, so we're going to keep working these half doubles. Bazang, good morning. Welcome in. Suzanne, good morning. In Pennsylvania, welcome in. Rosa, good morning. Welcome in. Thank you so much for sharing the live. Joyful Rosetta, nice to have you here. Thank you so much for the roses. Red Lady in the house. Good morning, Red Lady. Nice to have you here this morning. Sharon, good morning. How are you, friend? Guys, we're working on a little beanie. This is my favorite kind of go-to beanie. I make a lot of these for donation every year. And this is what I call my chunky beanie. Now, friends, if you are new to the channel, my name is April. Welcome in. We have a fabulous group of crocheters hanging out, drinking their coffee in the mornings, doing a little crocheting, doing a little stitch talk, all the fun things. But again, my name's April. Wheeler is my nickname. I live in Northeast Alabama. I work remote in Arizona. So that gives me time in the morning to do a little crocheting and have my coffee with y'all. So we typically come live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings at 7:30 Central Time. And right now, with daylight savings time, I stay on till about at 8:30. So we have about 20 more minutes before I have to go to work. So now, a really cool thing that is happening soon is we're getting off of daylight savings time. I know y'all are excited for that. I most certainly am. Okay, so this is our last half double here. Again, we're back to our single crochets. We need to do 5 of them. So this is our first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to do our single crochets here as we work towards the very tippy top of our hat. 24 more days, Todd. 24 more days. I am counting down, my friend. So March 8th, I think, is the official date here. And what happens on March 8th is Alabama is going to spring forward. Arizona does not observe daylight saving times. That's where I work. So right now in Arizona, I have 1 hour time difference, which only gives me an hour to crochet with you guys in the morning. However, in March, we're going to have 2 hours before I have to go to work. And that gives me more time to play in the mornings. Very, very exciting. Okay, so here we go. Actually, we are off daylight savings time now. Spring forward starts daylight savings. Okay, are you trying to confuse me, Tony Ann? All I know is I get 2 hours, girl. I work at a printing company in Tempe, Arizona. Okay, here we go. Yes, Nana, more time for a crochet. That's it. That's all. That's the important part. That's all we need to know. Hey, Sparky, good morning. Okay, so here we go. We need to do another row here. We're going to chain 1 and once again, turn my work. And we're going to head back down the other side. Again, this is the top of my hat where we had our single crochets. So as we start out, again, we need to do our 5 single crochets. I do not know how many chains I started with, Cynthia. What I do is I measure my hat. So this hat is going to have a 2-inch brim. We're going to fold it up like this, about 2 inches. So as I am making my chain, what I do is I actually measure. For the top of my hat to my folded up brim here, I want this to be about 9 inches, 8.5 to 9 inches for an adult hat. So if I measure till I get to 9. Now, if I'm not putting a brim on it, I would measure 9 inches of my starting chain. If I'm adding a 2-inch brim, I add an extra 2 inches. So I make sure I measure 11 inches when I make my starting chain. So every yarn is different. Every hook size is different. So I don't really worry about how many chains. What I've learned to do is measure. So if I want to do a 2-inch brim, I measure 11 inches. If I don't want to do a brim on it that folds up, then I do 9 inches for an adult hat. So that's how I figure it out. Okay. So here we go. First stitch out once again. Hey, Maggie, good morning. Welcome in. Little Red, good morning. Welcome in. Cynthia, good morning. How are you? So this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Into the first stitch, I'm going to work under both loops and we're going to do a single crochet. Now we're going to start working down until we get to our brim over here. And for this round, once again, we need to be putting our texture on the front side of our hat. So what we're going to do is instead of working under both the front and back loop, we're going to work just under the front loop right here. And we're going to work the rest of our single crochet. So this is number 1. Here is number 2. Number 3, again, I'm just working under the front loop. Number 4 and number 5. Okay. Once again, pop back in your stitch marker to identify your stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my first stitch. Mark him so you know when you come back around. Country Slip Stitch, thank you so much for being here. That's a new name. Are you new? Thank you so much for the roses. Thanks for being here. Trippy Vibes, thank you so much for the rose as well. That seems like a new name as well. Lots of new friends here, huh? So now that we have done our 5 singles, we're going to start working back down and we're going to go back to working our half doubles. Mimi, good morning. Welcome in. Let's see. I saw another Mimi here earlier. Thank you for showing us how to do. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Guys, if you are new to the channel, remember we are live this morning both on TikTok and over on YT. People are watching on both platforms. And also with YT, if you forgot or you weren't here for this how we started the hat, you can always go back and watch the live replay. So whenever we're live on TikTok, we're also live over on YT. My handle over there is Wheeler 8 Acres. As you're looking at YT, there are several categories of videos and such. There's one that says shorts, there's one that says videos, and there's one that says live. So the one that you are looking for, if you want to watch one of the live replays, is on the live tab. Okay. So after we get done with the live today, the hat will be out there that you can go back and rewatch it. So those are always out there available. Because I do work full time, I don't have a ton of time to make tutorials. I do my very best, try to post videos and content and whatnot. But we are on both, and I do my very best. But if I was a full time crocheter, it'd probably be a little easier. So I do what I can, y'all. And I know y'all are so patient with me. I appreciate it. So anyhow, keep working down for our hat, these half doubles until we get to the very last stitch. Now, before when we measured, we were at 9 inches. The OG Mimi is still here, just listening today. Okay. All right. Lots of Mimis out there in the world. We love all the Mimis. We love them all. Okay. So 2 more stitches here. Last one. Remember, for the last one, we're going to work under both the front and back loop. Okay. So half double crochet. Now let's give ourselves another little measurement here so we can see where we're at for closing up this hat. I want this to be 10 inches. So that way it is about 20 inches in circumference. Very important thing as you go to close up your hat. I want the yarn that I'm using to tie it off. Okay, you can see we're at 10 inches. So we're ready to tie off our beanie. JC, good morning. Welcome in. Um, as we are doing this, when I get done with my last stitch here, okay, I want to have my tail end up at the top of my hat. So I'm very strategic about how I'm doing this and I think about it. So right now, the end of our yarn, as you can see, is right down here at the brim of our hat. I don't want to leave a tail at the brim of my hat. So what I will do is I will stop my crocheting at this point where the tail is currently at the brim. What we're going to do is we're going to use this tail to close this. We're going to zip it up. Okay. So I take my yarn and I measure out about 2 lengths-ish for the size of my hat. Okay. I'm giving myself a long tail that we're going to use to sew this hat closed. And I'm going to snip off. Okay. So I'm no longer connected to my ball of yarn. And I'm going to pull this tail out and get this last stitch kind of closed up here. Okay. So we've completed all of our crocheting. What we're going to do is we're going to use an invisible join to close this hat up. And as we do, we're going to work this tail from the brim of our hat up to the top of our hat where we can disguise that and hide it into our project. So we're going to get our darning needle and get him on our darning needle. Get your tail on there. Okay. So again, this is kind of a long stretch of yarn, but we want to make sure we have enough and are not wasteful. Okay. So very important as you're doing this, you want to make sure the inside of your hat is facing in. We're going to have it so that the wrong side is facing out. As I start my hat, I like to go through and mark my work I use what's called a hook minder. Okay. So I'm using a size K hook. I put my hook minder on the front of my project. That way it makes it very easy for me to identify which is the right and which is the wrong side. So I'm going to close this up this way and we're going to zip this up this side here. Okay. So my right side is on the inside of my work. So I'm going to begin with our first stitch here, and I'm going to come over to this side, and I'm going to work my yarn under both loops as I get ready to close this up. Okay. So I work under both loops, and we're going to weave this up. Now this yarn is really thick that we're doing. It works a lot better if you have like a lighter weight yarn, but that's all right. We're going to make this kind of work. And I come back and I loop through this stitch here as well, okay, when I'm doing my first one. So I kind of get this pretty secure through here as I loop it, okay, and make that it's nice and tight and closed there. Now, as I work this stitch up, we're going to use an invisible join. We're going to use what is called the mattress stitch. Mattress. I love the mattress stitch. Okay. So as we work this, we're going to identify our sideways V's that we had on both sides. Okay. As you look at this, this is our first stitch right here. I'm going to go through the middle of the V. And then see this next stitch right here? I'm going to come up the other side of that stitch. So it kind of crisscrosses on my needle. Okay. And I'm going to pull that closed. Now I'm going to hop over to the other side. Here's our first stitch. I'm going to go down through the middle and pop back out the next stitch. Again, see our little crisscross here? And we're going to pull that through. Then I'm going to come back to this side. Do you see where this stitch came out of? We're going to go back down through that one and then back up through the next one. And make sure you're trying to get just the yarn. Sometimes it'll grab onto your other side there and it'll make it a little harder when you go through and try to tighten this up. Okay. And I'm not super concerned about tightening it at this point. I'm going to get a few stitches, then we're going to zip it closed. So here we go. We came out of this stitch. So I'm going to go back down into that stitch, pop back up through the next stitch. There's our little crisscross we're looking for. Again, pull that closed, come back to your other side. Here's where we came out of, right back down in, pop up through the other side. Here's where we came out of, back down in, and pop back out. All right, so you can kind of get the rhythm of how we're doing this. Now, this is where our stitch is. So as you get a few stitches, what you're going to want to do, I anchor it right here. I hold on to that very first starting stitch, and I give the tail a little pull. As you pull on that tail, what you will see happen is this will close up and become an invisible seam. This stitch is great for joining granny squares. It is a very, very popular stitch for sewing together squares. If you have panels of a um, like cardigan or something that are wearable that you're using, a lot of people use this same. It's called the mattress stitch. It's an invisible join. So you go, this is where we came out of, right back down in, pop out the other side. And I just kind of keep these aligned as I'm working along. And work slow. There's no race on this. Make sure you're getting it nice and snug. Hey, Shannon, good morning. Latanu, I don't know if I said that right. Good morning. Welcome in. Shannon, welcome from the Gulf Coast of Alabama. We're a bit north of you, my friend. We're a bit north, but the frogs are singing up here, guys. Spring is coming. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Polly, good morning. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the follow. Connie, good morning. Welcome in. So again, guys, this is called the mattress stitch. We're just closing up this hat. I don't know if I'm going to have time to finish the whole thing on the live. I better get to stitching and stop yapping here because I've only got 6 more minutes. We might run a little bit long for the live this morning. That's okay. Let's get this all zipped up. Okay. So as you are getting more stitches, again, hold here and pull, and just like magic, that will close right up. Isn't that cool? So slick. Okay, so here we go. Let's do some more of these mattress stitches and get this kind of closed up. I'm going to kind of watch this here, guys. Let's see if I can get some of these on. I gotta go to work. Nah, that's the problem. Lynn has buttercups in bloom. Oh, I love buttercups. You know what other ones I really like are those pink ones that come on the side of the road. I think they're like desert something. We used to have them in Arizona and I absolutely loved them. They were like paper thin. Does anybody know which ones I'm talking about? They're really pretty pink flowers. Oh, I just love it. Well, I mean, let's be honest. I love all flowers. I mean, there's not really a flower I don't love. But I need to check on my daffodils today, you all, because I think 35K. How about that? Yay. Thank you, everybody, for hitting that screen. Showing the love. Showing the love. Yellowstone. Welcome in, Yellowstone. Thank you so much for the follow. I used to love going to Yellowstone. That's where I saw my first bear was in Yellowstone. We went up there with my mom from Arizona. Remember when we did that trip, Mom? Up to Yellowstone? Oh gosh. And then don't get me thinking about Mr. Rip on Yellowstone. Whew, whew, hubba, hubba. Okay, calm down, April. Sorry. See, you see what you did there, Yellowstone? My goodness me. You got me all Twitter pated this morning. Wonder Mouse, good morning. Hooked with Care, good morning. Welcome in. Welcome in. For those that watch Yellowstone, you know exactly what I'm talking. That's right, Kelly. Allie loves Rip. See, Allie knows what's up. Nancy's just over there laughing at me. Oh, too funny. Whew. Yeah, that Rip. Boy, I'll tell you, there's something about that. Lauren knows. Sorry, Sparky. Red light, red light. Y'all done started me up now. Leah's like, come on, you kids, get back focused. We're making a hat here. Leah knows he's one of my favorites. I'll tell you, Rip is one of my favorites. The other one, my other favorite is Gerard Butler. Gerard Butler is the man. Oh, that accent. Oof, oof. Meow. Right, Shan? Hey, Silverstone. Good morning. Welcome in. Kelly, good morning. The new friends are like, oh my goodness, what are we talking about this morning on Crochet Talk? Yeah, I do love me some Gerard Butler. I just watched the other day the one with Katherine Heigl where they go up in the hot air balloon. I can't remember what it's called. I do love I do love that show. Yeah. So anyhow, back to crocheting because I totally got off track. It's all Yellowstone's fault for joining in this morning. We love you, Yellowstone. Please don't take it personal. Yes, P.S. I love you. Oh, that one is good. That's the one where they're over in Ireland. That one is really good. That has the brunette girl in it. Ugly Truth is the hot air balloon one. Yeah, the Ugly Truth. Oh, Katherine Heigl. She's such a hoot. I really like her too. Yeah, she's one of my favorites. This colorway is called Seashell. This is Bernat Symphony. We're making a hat. I'm doing a little yakking as we're closing up this hat here. So anyhow, wow, my little thing just popped off. I don't know what's going on with my tablet. Oh, let's see. Let me see if I can switch this. Let's see. Oh well, I've totally lost the chat at this point, y'all. Talk amongst yourselves. I don't know what my tablet is doing. It's one of those days, y'all. What can I say? It's Friday Eve, you know? This is what happens on a Friday Eve. Old Wheeler, she gets a little squirrely. Okay, here we go. We're gonna put this on the tablet, but I gotta we're gonna put this on the tablet. All right. Let me turn myself down. Y'all are like, what did I sign up for? She left us unsupervised, right? Chaos is ensuing. Nana's like, I know what's up. All right. Are we to the end of this hat yet? This is a lot of sewing. You guys can see why a lot of times I crochet these closed because this stitch takes forever, right? Let's see. Silverstone's, oh, Mad Red. New hubby said you can't be mad anymore. All right, new hubby. Well, we like that. You might have to remind me of that a few times though. You might have to remind me. Y'all change your handles and especially when you change your picture, then I don't know who you are. I made the mistake of changing my picture one time and everybody was like, "Why did you do that?" So anyhow, forever my picture will be little Diesel, who's not so little anymore. I'm going to post a picture on Book of Faces today. He was really crashed out this morning, over on the couch with his legs in the air. And I posted a picture of him yesterday too, or maybe it was the day before, because uh he's so big compared to a year ago. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how big he is. Yellowstone, I come live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings at 7:30 Central Time. And I stay on for 2 hours. Now, that'll be starting in March. We're going to do 2 hours. Right now, we only have an hour because of daylight savings time. So I am so looking forward to daylight savings time because it's going to give me 2 hours in the morning. See, like today, we've been on for an hour and I'm supposed to be hopping off to go to work. It's 8:30 right now, but I want to close in the top of this hat on the live. So I won't be late to work. I have to be at work at 9, um, 9 Alabama time, which is 8 Arizona time. And so I still have some time, but I usually use it to like feed the dogs, make breakfast, fill the bird feeders, use the restroom, get another cup of coffee, all the things. Oh, yes, total squirrel. Sorry, mom. I'm having a squirrel kind of day, y'all. But we're almost there. We're almost to the top of the hat. Y'all hang with me here. We're going to close her up. She's going to be done. This hat will be done by the time I'm off the live. So again, we're doing the mattress stitch here, guys. I'm going up one side. So this is the stitch that I came out of. I'm going to go down where that came out of. And then we're going to go back up through this stitch right here. So they kind of crisscross on your needle. Kelly says, I want to change my picture, but I don't want people. I know. We won't recognize you if you change your picture. So here we go. This is the one we came out of. We're going to go back down through that one and up the other side. This is called the mattress stitch. It's an invisible join. As I'm doing this, see how my stitch is zigzagging? Once I get to a certain number of stitches here, doesn't matter, however you feel comfortable, you'll get the feel for it. I hold here and I pull this and we're going to zip this closed. Zip, 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 zip. See those stitches, how they like stretch in? Then I kind of give it a little pull and straighten everything out. Okay. So couple more stitches here and then we'll be ready to start closing the top, and it won't be long there. We'll have this little guy finished up. Okay. So back out. This is our last one here. And one more on this side. Again, zip this closed, zip, zip. Now, as I get to the very tippy top here, what I like to do is I like to wrap around one side and then back through the other side here. Okay. And the reason why I like to do this is it kind of secures this and makes it a little more snug along the top. Okay. So here is the seam we have just made right here. This is how it's looking on the other side. Right here is where we joined up. Okay. So now we're ready to start closing in the top. And conveniently, we have the yarn that we were just working with. We also have the first tail that we had. So we actually have 2 strings at the top to close our hat. So what we're going to do is I'm going to work back and forth on these stitches along the top to close this in. And I'm going to kind of skip. So remember how we did that chain 1 that we turned? That's what this is right here. See how there's these little humps here? So I come out here, go back in this one, come back out here. It makes it so that I can skip a section of my hat so that it's not too tight as we work along. I just got a whole new box of begging strips yesterday. I get 2 bags of them. That way Mr. Wheeler can have one out in his shop and I have one here in the house for the puppies. They're not really puppies anymore. Okay, so as we're working this, once you get a little stretch of these, pull this and kind of get it cinched up. Make sure that you're able to close your stitches. Keep working all the way around until we get to that other side where we first started. Okay, so we're going to come in and out. Very easy. We're almost there. Almost there. And yeah, once a puppy, always a puppy, right, Hannah? Diesel thinks he's a little puppy, I'll tell you. And then he like jumps on you and he's huge. Okay, so here is where we first started because here's our other tail. So once again, we're going to pull all that kind of closed, pull this tight, but don't pull it so tight that you break your yarn, okay? We're gonna come back and close this up, so we're gonna get it more cinched up. Hey, I crochet past my bedtime. Welcome in. I crochet past my bedtime too, but don't tell anyone my bedtime's like 7 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to tie these closed with these 2 strands that I had. Okay, so we're going to secure this closed with a couple knots. Now, we still have kind of a big hole here in the top of our hat. If you were going to sew on a pom-pom, at this point I wouldn't worry about the hole. You can leave it. The pom-pom is going to cover that up. However, I'm not going to put a pom-pom on this hat. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue on with my pink tail, and I'm going to work along the top. 45K. Wow. Mama Wheeler's over there tippy tapping along with everybody else. Thank you all so much for the screen taps. That's a new record. We haven't had one of those in a while. That's a lot of tippy tapping, huh? Are you guys' fingers tired? It's a good thing it's Friday. Well, crochet Friday, Friday Eve. But today is our crochet Friday for me, you know? You'll have to give our friend Maggie a follow. She'll be on this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So you could check out her channel because I'm going to be off. And I am turning the reins over to Miss Maggie. So be sure and give her a follow if you want another creator to follow who is amazing. Today is my Friday too. Yeah, today's my last day of my live. I have to work today. Okay, so we keep weaving this tail in all the way around, and you can see that center hole is just getting tighter and tighter. Valentine's Day this weekend. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Is that an excuse to like eat cheesecake or cookies or something? Something like that? Maybe? Stick around. I'll keep telling you more of the sillies of Mr. Wheeler. Oh, Mr. Wheeler is silly. Did Mr. Wheeler come to the live today? Mr. Wheeler probably will never come to the live. I think he's only been to the live one time, and I about fell out of my chair. But, you know, one of these days, Mr. Wheeler might pop in and you might get to say hello. He works during the time that I'm live, but you never know. He might someday. Do you need an excuse to eat cheesecake? No, I do not need an excuse. All right. So, anywho, once you get this kind of worked around a little, I'm going to go ahead and snip this one off. Okay. Oh, look at that star. Red Lady, thank you so much for the star. That was fun, that little mini star. Cool Nanny, I'll be back for sure. Okay, good. We'll be back next Tuesday. I don't know what's on deck for next Tuesday. You can already look on YT. The schedule's already made. You can look under the live tab and see what we've got upcoming. We've got a lot of stuff going on though. So guys, same thing with the green tail. I would weave in this green tail around the center and then snip it off. Okay. I'm going to do that later off the live. I got to go to work, but let's flip our hat out so we can get the full effect of our little beanie that we made this morning. So again, we made this one with a brim. Flatten him out. This right here is where the seam was. And we tapered down at the top so that our top of our hat was not quite so bulky. So see how it tapers down right here at the top? So again, if you're going to have a pom-pom, that'll be really nice there. He was on live when he forgets and calls. Yeah, that's true. He was on live for that one. So there is our beanie, y'all. So if you missed how we started this beanie, you can always check it out over on YT. My handle is Wheeler8Acres. Look under the live tab. Thank you all so much for everybody who has hung out this week on our lives. It has been great fun both on TikTok and over on YouTube. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you all so much for all of the gifts, taps, likes, all of the follows. I appreciate it. We'll be back next Tuesday at 7:30 Central. I hope to see you all then. And for now, I hope you have a fabulous weekend. Happy Valentine's Day. I love you all. Big hugs. Bye for now.